The Gospel of Matthew tells the story of Jesus. It's one of 4 Gospels in the New Testament of the Bible. Matthew, the writer, was a tax collector who became a follower of Jesus. This Gospel presents Jesus as the promised Messiah, the King of the Jews. It's full of Jesus' teachings, miracles, and his mission on earth. Matthew wants readers to understand who Jesus is and what he came to do. Matthew's Gospel is important for Christians today. It helps us learn about Jesus and how his life, death, and resurrection offer hope and salvation. Chapter 24 of Matthew is a very important part of the Gospel. It's often called the Olivet Discourse. This is because Jesus gave this teaching on the Mount of Olives just outside Jerusalem. Jesus had been teaching in the temple. Later, as he left with his disciples, they pointed out the temple's grand buildings. Jesus surprised them by saying that not one stone would be left on another. The disciples were confused and a bit scared. They asked Jesus privately when this would happen. They also wanted to know about the end of the age. Jesus' answer makes up the rest of Matthew chapter 24. Jesus didn't give a date for the temple's destruction or the end of the world. Instead, he talked about signs. These signs would be like the pains a woman feels as she's about to give birth. Just as birth pains signal something new is coming, these signs would point to a new age. It would be the time when God's kingdom would come in its fullness. But Jesus warned that there would be difficult times before this happened. These birth pains wouldn't be easy, but they would be a reminder that something amazing was about to happen, the arrival of God's kingdom in a new and powerful way. Some of the signs Jesus spoke about happened not long after his death and resurrection. For example, the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD by the Romans. This was a terrible event for the Jewish people. Throughout history, we also see other events that echo Jesus' words. There have been wars, famines, earthquakes, and persecutions of Christians. These events remind us that we live in a world where God's kingdom hasn't fully come yet. However, it's important to remember that Jesus said these events are like birth pains. They are painful, yes, but they point towards something new and wonderful being born. Section 5. False Messiahs and Prophets. Jesus warned that in the time before his return, many false messiahs and prophets would appear. They would deceive people, claiming to be someone they're not. They might even perform signs and wonders. Throughout history, there have been individuals claiming to be the Messiah or having special knowledge from God. Sadly, many people have been led astray by such figures. Jesus' warning reminds us to be careful about who we follow. We should test everything against the truth found in the Bible, and be wary of those who promise quick solutions or easy answers. Section 6. Wars and Rumors of Wars. Jesus also said there would be wars and rumors of wars. This doesn't mean we should be surprised when conflicts arise. Sadly, violence and war have been a constant part of human history. Even today, we see conflicts and tensions between nations. The threat of war is always present, causing fear and uncertainty. Jesus warned his followers not to be troubled by these events. He reminded them that such things must happen, but they don't mean the end is here yet. Instead, they are part of the difficult birth pangs of a new age. Section 7. Global Upheavals. Jesus spoke about other disturbing events, like famines and earthquakes. He said these would happen in various places. These events would cause suffering and hardship for many people. Sadly, these kinds of natural disasters still occur today. We see news reports of earthquakes, famines, and other disasters causing devastation around the world. These events can be frightening, but Jesus' words offer a perspective. He doesn't offer easy answers for why suffering exists, but he does offer hope, reminding us that even in the midst of these trials, God is still in control. Section 8. Love growing cold. One of the most striking signs Jesus mentioned was that the love of many will grow cold. He wasn't just talking about romantic love, he was talking about love for God and love for others. In a world that is increasingly selfish and divided, it's easy to see how love can grow cold. We witness acts of violence, hatred, and indifference all around us. However, Jesus calls his followers to be different. He calls us to love our enemies, care for the poor and marginalized, and stand up for what is right, even when it's difficult. Section 9. Enduring to the end. Matthew 24 can seem overwhelming. However, Jesus didn't give these teachings to scare his followers. He wanted them to be prepared. Jesus encouraged his disciples to persevere. He said that the one who endures to the end will be saved. This means holding on to faith in him, even when things are difficult. This message is just as important for us today. We live in a world that can be challenging and uncertain. But by remembering Jesus' words and holding on to his promises, we can find hope and strength to face whatever may come.